נכנס אדר מי שנכנס אדר מי שנכנס אדר מרבים בשמחה מי שנכנס אדר מרבים בשמחה מי שנכנס אדר מי שנכנס אדר מי שנכנס אדר מרבים בשמחה מי שנכנס אדר מרבים בשמחה. Take it away, Rabbi.
Well, Shabbat Shalom to all of you. I'm not that talented at doing what comes so naturally for the cantor. Shabbat Shalom all. It's wonderful to be here. Really what's wonderful is get to see you and feel a little bit of as if we are together to be with you. Yes, Cantor Adam and Shai have opened with a little vort about the arrival of the month of Adar. When the month of Adar arrives, it's time to bring on the joy. Bring on the joy. You gotta have joy, particularly when it's dark out, when it's cold out, when it gets dark really early, when there's snow out. Not so much in Israel, but whatever. It's really you gotta make a very intentional effort to feel joy. You know, where in the world do we go to feel genuine joy? What institutions see it as their mission to help us feel joy? Joy that is connected to purpose, joy that is connected to something higher and one more ultimate maybe. I think that certainly is the mission of synagogues and of religious community. And it is obviously the foundation of birthdays, joy that is. So I'm just thinking of Tori Sobeski, who's going to light the the Shabbat candles for, and we've got a bunch of other birthdays tonight. I don't know, I'll just share the names of some of you. I'm sure I'm leaving some out. The Pakdars, Anna and Mark, each of you have, in the last week or 2 weeks. I know I believe it's Phil Ross's birthday, and actually today is one dear Gavi Feldman's birthday. So I don't know, if it's your birthday, you can send that in as well. It's a source of joy, and joy is so important. More of us are getting the vaccine. I read this little piece in the Times of Israel that like 4 people out of 500,000, by the time a week after their second shot, hadn't been one death, and there were maybe 4 of them had gotten sick, but not seriously ill. So the vaccines are working. It's really a time for hope, and hope is one of the foundations of joy. So Tori, if I just stop talking, you could lead us in what's supposed to be a joyful moment every week. That is the project, the institution of Shabbat. Yay, Tori. And hello, Dana, to you too.
Hi, we also want to say today is also Donna Perez's birthday.
Ah, Donna, yes, okay. It's there. I'm certain there are a bunch of you, so share the names out or text them in. Thank you, Dana. Page 2 for the blessing.
She's taller than me. Ready? Want to do 2 of them? Ready? Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Kiddushanu B'mitzvotav V'tzivanu Lahadlik Ner Shel Shabbat.
Maine. Tori, how old are you?
Well, she's
Excellent.
12.
Excellent. 12. There you go. Okay. We will turn to have a very happy birthday, Tori. May it be a wonderful year, a year of learning and growing and some joy. Page 12. Page 12. Page 13, my new song, Shir Adonai, Page 14, Adonai Malach, Psalm 97.
אדוני מלך תגר הארץ, ישמחו העמים רבים. ענן ערפל סביביו צדק במשפט מכל כיסאו. אוהבי אדוני שנאו רב. שומר נפשות חסידיו, מיד רשעים יצילם.
Chaduti, page 20.
שמור וזכור בדיבורך כי שמיענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד לשמו לתפארת ולתהילה לך אדוני לקראת קלה בני שבת לקבלה לך אדוני לקראת קלה בני שבת לקבלה. Verse 2 לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה כי מקום הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה לך אדוני לקראת קלה בני שבת לקבלה לך אדוני לקראת קלה בני שבת לקבלה. Verse 5 התעוררי התעוררי כי באורך קומי אורי 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 שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לך אדוני לקראת קלה בני שבת לקבלה לך אדוני לקראת קלה בני שבת לקבלה.
Come to our last paragraph. If you'd like to rise as it's like standing for the bride at a wedding. It's a moment of joy every week, a moment of opportunity, a moment of reconnection, recommitment. Bottom of 21.
אוי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה לך אדוני לקראת קלה בני שבת לקבלה לך אדוני לקראת קלה בני שבת לקבלה לך אדוני לקראת
Psalm 92 on page 22. Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat, a song for the Sabbath day. Be seated or stand, whatever is your preference. It's fine to sit.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בכינון. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. כי שמחתני אדוני בפועלך, במעשה ידיך רבים. מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני, מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. The indentation at the bottom of the page. צדיק כתמר יפרח, כארז בלבנון ישגה. צדיק כתמר יפרח, כארז בלבנון ישגה. שתולים בבית אדוני, בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו. עוד ינוגון בשיבה, דשנים ורעננים יהיו, להגיד כי ישר אדוני, צורי ולא הבלעת בו. לה 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 לה. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. צדיק כתמר יפרח, כארז בלבנון ישגה. צדיק כתמר יפרח, כארז בלבנון ישגה. שתולים בבית אדוני, בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו. עוד ינגון בשיבה, דשנים ורעננים יהיו, להגיד כי ישר אדוני, צורי ולא הבלעת בו. יה לה 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 לה. יה לה 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 לה. Ya la 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 צדיק התמן יפרח, כארז בלבנון יזכה.
From Tzaddik Katamar Yifrach, the wisdom of time will continue to blossom and ripen and produce great fruit. From that to Shalom Aleichem on page 24, expressing our gratitude and our thanks, our sense of inspiration that we get from the angels in our lives. Shalom Aleichem, 24.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Zoechem Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Mi Leshalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Zeitchem Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
So before we turn to the Baruch Hu, just to share a thought, the Baruch Hu actually is a moment of us coming together as a people. You know, the Baruch Hu is, we're saying to the cantor, our prayer leader says to us, okay, community, okay, are you family, okay, people, nation, are we ready to rise together and try to bring ourselves into a place of much greater unity? And it makes me think that it's not only Tori's birthday and Phil's birthday and the Pakhtar's birthdays and Gavi's birthday and a whole bunch of others. It also today happens to be Abraham Lincoln's birthday. And so I want to share a couple thoughts right now and then in a couple moments before Baruch Hu, just a couple powerful quotes from Abraham Lincoln. The most reliable way to predict the future is to create it. It's one quote. I am a firm believer in the people, says Abraham Lincoln. If given the truth, they can be depended upon to meet any national crisis. The great point is to bring them the real facts. And third and lastly, for a moment, nearly all men, if he were living today, he would say, nearly all people can stand adversity. But if you want to test a man's character or a person's character, give him power. Micha Mocha. Baruch Hu, please rise. The Baruch Hu, page 28. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzevaot is your name, ever-living God. May you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening.
Roll into dark, roll into light. Light becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Light becomes day, day turns to night. Orei yom v'layla, olel or mipnei choshech, olel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei yom. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Orei yom v'layla, olel or mipnei choshech, olel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei yom. Umavir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uven laila. Adonai Tzevaot Shemo, El Chai v'Kayam, Tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch Ata Adonai, Amari v'Aravi.
Page 32.
Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael, Amcha Ata. Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, b'shorbeinu u'b'kumeinu, nasiach b'chutecha, v'nismach b'divrei toratecha, u'b'mitzvotecha, le'olam va'ed. Ki hein chayeinu, ve'yorech yameinu, ve'yorech yameinu, u'bahem neged, yomam v'layla, yomam v'layla. Ve'ahavatcha, al tasir mimenu le'olamim. Baruch Ata Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
34.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
36. Ve'ahavta. Be seated if you'd like. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol lebavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'otecha והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך וקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתיכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם. So before we offer Micha Mocha, which is on page 40, I'm just thinking of Abraham Lincoln, but I'm also reminding many of us, maybe most of us, you remember this reading, stand on the parted shores of history. We still believe what we're taught before ever. We stood at Sinai. There's no way to get from here to there except for joining hands and marching together. I think that it's quite possible Abraham Lincoln wrote that passage. You get my point. Here's two additional short quotes from him. He said, nations do not die from invasion. They die from internal rottenness. And lastly, America will never be destroyed from the outside. If we falter and lose our freedoms, it will be because we destroyed ourselves. Micha Mocha, page 40. Page 42, Ashkivenu.
Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, לשלום, 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 השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, לשלום, השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, לשלום, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, לשלום, 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 השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, לשלום, השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, לשלום, ברוך אתה אדוני, הפורש סוכת שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים.
We turn now from Hashkivenu to Vishamru, laying down in peace to creating sacred moments in peace. Vishamru 44. For our standing prayer, the Amidah, feel free to do so. 146.
אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה. האל הגדול הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, מביא גאולה לבניהם למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו משני עבר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממיד ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וכראשים בבואי יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Take a moment of a private prayer, personal prayer, and we'll come together with Shalom Rav on page 62. So close to it.
Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, al Yisrael Amcha. Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, al Yisrael Amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom Rav. יברך עמו ישראל בשלום, שלום רב, שלום רב.
Shalom Rav, a great, abundant, overflowing shalom, peace. I've said this, I think, many times. I've certainly thought it many times that it's so perfect that this prayer precedes a sermon, because that's the purpose, I think, of a sermon, and this piece is really, it's powerful. Thank you, Cantor Adam and Shai. I quote, "These are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from the service of their country, but he that stands it now deserves the love and thanks of man and woman. Tyranny, like hell, is not easily conquered. Yet we have this consolation with us, that the harder the conflict, the more glorious the triumph." I close with this final passage. "What we obtain too cheap, we esteem too lightly. It is dearness only, that gives everything its value. Heaven knows how to put a proper price upon its goods, and it would be strange indeed if so celestial an article as freedom should not be highly rated." The famous words, of course, of Thomas Paine, and we heard them in our halls of Congress a couple days ago. "These are the times that try our souls. It is dearness only that gives everything its value." Thomas Paine's words 250 years ago helped give birth to the American experiment. 3,500 years ago, Mount Sinai gave birth to, quote, dearness in the Jewish and the human soul. Last week in Parshat Yitro and this week Mishpatim, we stood and stand still at Mount Sinai. And tonight I ask us to consider some connections between Sinai and the Senate chamber. The rules of justice, the rules of civil society, the fundamental obligations of one man to another, one person to another, to forbid violence, outlaw injustice, to create a society and a system of accountability. Both Sinai and the Senate have a holy, lofty mission to set forth the laws of the land and apply them to the events of the day. The laws of Sinai follow centuries of slavery. The laws of our Constitution follow decades of subordination to the royal crown. These are the most trying of times, or among them. The events of January 6th are painful and awful to witness. In these times, in our times, we're not at war with a foreign ruler. Unlike 3,200 years ago under Pharaoh or 250 years ago under the crown of England, we struggle not with a foreign ruler, but with the words and actions of our own. It is our president, former president, not a foreign ruler who stands accused. Like those times before Sinai and those that led up to the founding of our country, there is much anger and rage, violence and lawlessness. In these times and in those, it understandably feels that the grand goal is freedom. Freedom is, as said by Thomas Paine, the celestial article. But to the extent I understand those two words, celestial article, I want to ask a question to Thomas Paine and to you about freedom. Is freedom the goal? Is freedom the celestial article? Maybe the divine aspiration? Is freedom the purpose of our republic? Put differently, is freedom the ultimate end, the great goal, the divine destiny to which we aspire? Or not? For maybe freedom is not a goal at all. Tonight, I submit that this Thomas Paine quote can be a little distracting It can move us off our central focus. Maybe freedom is not a celestial article. Maybe freedom is not the grand goal of our republic. For according to Sinai and our great tradition, freedom is a means. Freedom is not an end. Freedom is the means that can help us achieve our end. It's not an end in and of itself. Tonight I want to make my case by looking at two verses of Torah, both from Mount Sinai, one from last week's Parsha Yitro and one from this week's Mishpatim. The first, Lo tachmod beit yareacha, you shall not covet your neighbor's house. Lo tachmod eshet reacha, your neighbor's wife. Ve'avdo amato v'shoro v'chamoro v'chol asher l'reacha. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife or their male or female slave, their ox or ass or anything that is your neighbor's. That's chapter 20 of Yitro from last week on Mount Sinai. That is the 10th and final commandment of the 10 Commandments. The 14th century Italian commentator Sforno said this about lo tachmod. Once you begin to covet something belonging to someone else, it's only a short step to committing violence and robbery. And Rabbeinu Bachya, a 13th century Spanish thinker, said this: it's known that coveting something is a matter for the heart. The principal warning contained in this commandment is that one must train oneself to absolutely renounce all hope of ever acquiring things belonging to another person, real estate, livestock, inert objects, etc. One must not even think of these and wish for them in one's own heart. Were one to covet them, one would ultimately commit murder in order to own them oneself. Close quote. That was Rabbeinu Bachya, 750 years ago, a Spanish thinker. It's as plain as day that freedom is not our goal. The goal of the 10 Commandments of Mount Sinai is not freedom. Envy, covetousness is prohibited in our most basic set of rules. We're not free to seek what others have. We're not free to violently or dishonestly strive to take what others have. Mount Sinai is not about freedom. No matter how happy we are to be out of Egypt, our goal, our ultimate end is not freedom. I can't think of a better word or way to describe the rioters and insurrectionists than coveters. What we witnessed was a shocking, blatant disregard of the commandment that says, you shall not covet, lo tachmod. January 6th was a horrifying, extreme example of living, breathing covetousness. Rooting out envy, however, is at the bedrock of a civil society. Let me be clear. I don't know the definition of a high crime or misdemeanor. In fact, no one does. It means whatever the senators decide that it means. So I'm no better judge than you when it comes to impeachment. But here's what I do know. Our Constitution, we call it the Torah, absolutely forbids any person from coveting, from allowing envy to drive their actions. I know that under the Jewish Constitution, it's a chilul Hashem, a violation of God's name to covet, to behave with envy. I know something else. It's forbidden under our Jewish Constitution for a leader to promote a culture of envy or covetousness. Instigating others to covet, to pursue their envy, whether it's tens or thousands or millions, only deepens the sin. It doesn't relieve the sin. Success at encouraging envy doesn't diminish the violation of our Jewish Constitution. Quite the opposite. Commandment number 10 says, you may not covet the rage of others. You may not covet the anger and the hatred of your neighbors. Torah forbids anyone, for sure a president, from coveting hate-filled instincts and violent impulses of other human beings. Again, I have no special insight into what it means to cite an insurrection or to commit a high crime or misdemeanor. That is a question for our common sense, and more narrowly, the common sense of United States senators. What I am saying is this. It's that if I got to litigate this case in a Jewish court, and yes, with my life experiences as a federal prosecutor and appellate litigator, I begin my case with lo tachmod. Envy is forbidden to any one of us, including, of course, our presidents. The 10th commandment makes it clear personal envy over losing an election, the coveting of an office plainly violates the most fundamental obligations of our tradition, of our Constitution, Jewish Constitution. And beyond that, commandment number 10 says that one may never covet, may not inflame the anger, the rage, the envy, the violent instincts of others. Lo tachmod. He or she may not covet any of that. I told you earlier that tonight we're going to look at two verses, both from Mount Sinai. One from last week, lo tachmod, you shall not covet or envy. I want to get to the second verse. This one is from our Torah portion tonight, but as I said, both are up at Mount Sinai. But let me first ask a question. What do you think is the opposite of envy? Envy. What's the opposite of coveting? What do you think? Here's the way I want to maybe help us think about it. Consider a straight line. It starts with coveting on one end, say the left side, and moves 180 degrees away. That will be the opposite. What's at the opposite end of that continuum, away from coveting, away from envy? And before we get to the complete opposite, let me offer a few stops along the way. If there's coveting in the far side, one end, then there's maybe tolerance, then there's maybe acceptance, maybe awareness. Finally, on the opposite end, 180 degrees from envy, is empathy. And that's the message of our second verse. Our second verse is the tikkun, the corrective to the first. Empathy is the opposite. It's the ultimate healing of envy. Here our second verse. V'ger lo toneh, v'lo tilchatzenu, you shall not wrong a stranger or oppress him. Ki gerim hayitem, be'eretz Mitzrayim. For you were strangers in the land of Egypt. You shall not oppress a stranger, for you know the feelings of the stranger, having yourselves been strangers in the land of Egypt. Confession time. I cheated a little. I told you that's one verse, but in truth, this one verse is repeated 36 times, according to the Talmud. And why? Rabbi Natan says it's repeated 36 times. Since the Jewish people were themselves strangers, we are not in a position to ever demean a stranger. Empathy is the tikkun of envy. Dr. Micha Goodman of the Hebrew University and the Shalom Hartman Institute, he's given a lot of thought to the subject of empathy. He teaches that the essence of this verse, lo tachmod, you shall not mistreat a stranger. He teaches that the essence of this verse is empathy. Under our Jewish Constitution, I suggest that what every leader owes her people is to cultivate empathy. What every parent owes his children is the ability to feel the pain, the hurt, and the suffering of others. For us Jews, empathy is not a passive emotion. Empathy is both our obligation to take action and our responsibility to choose inaction. Empathy is not freedom. Empathy is the command to feel what others feel, and it is the faith to forego our envy. Let's come back to my opening claim, the one about freedom. Freedom is not our goal. Free exercise of our raw emotions, that's the barrier to freedom. Free exercise of our deepest fears, that's the destroyer of freedom. You shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness, you shall not covet. Our 10 commandments, That's last week. And this week from Sinai as well, you shall not wrong or oppress a stranger 36 times. Is freedom our goal, our purpose? Or is freedom only a means to our purpose, to achieve our purpose? Our 10 Commandments make clear. Freedom is not a purpose. Freedom is and can only be the means. Envy is prohibited. Empathy is required. Envy leads to violence. Empathy leads to patience. Envy leads to the excess of opulence. Empathy leads to the humility of silence. The Jewish responsibility of every leader is empathy. The Jewish of every parent is also empathy. You may not oppress the stranger because empathy is the tikkun for envy. None of us is free to covet. None of us is free to oppress the stranger. Freedom is not the end. It's not a purpose. We're commanded to forego our envy, and we're commanded to inspire our empathy to ourselves, our families, and our world. All of us. Shabbat Shalom. We can now prepare for Aleinu on 282. Please rise if you'd like to rise for Aleinu 282.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adam hakol, ateit geula v'yotzeh bereshit, shelo asanu kegoyi ha'aratzot, lo samanu kemishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol amonam, v'anachnu kore'im, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
27.
May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding. Love each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift our hand, but to conquer fear and doubt and despair, rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause the light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with joy of wholeness, of freedom, of peace. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz, hayom ha'hu yihyeh Adonai echad, u'shemo
Amen. Okay, I know that normally that the next prayer after Aleinu is generally Kaddish, but a number of you have reminded me or helped me realize that by accident I omitted the Mishaberach. I asked for the names, but then I got caught up in Shalom Rav that I somehow, Cantor Adam, you should feel free to, keep me on track anytime I'm off track, off the derech, as they say. So anyway, I apologize, you all. Let's come back to what?
I thought that was the plan. I thought you were plowing ahead.
It's okay. I know I just made a mistake. It happens only daily, multiple times. So you've sent your names, the names of loved ones. Feel free to send additional names if you didn't get to them. Accept my apology for the delay in the Misha Berach of 15 minutes. And so we're on page 253. We'll go from Misha Berach to the Mourner's Kaddish after that. We're on page 253. Turn to page 294 as we prepare for the Mourner's Kaddish and we direct our love to those who have passed and on whose shoulders we stand. We remember not yet buried, but who passed in the last days, Michael Ross. And we also remember in the period of Shloshim, Carrie Baker, Sonia Ehrlich, and William Winston. We remember as well the Yortzeit, the anniversary of the passing of the following beloved family members: Harriet Buck, Evan Delitas, Joshua Field, and Deborah Greenberg, Celia Gretsch and Paula Grunstein, Marilyn Hoffman and Lynn Jacobs, Barbara Kalos, William Kaffenbaum and Isidore Kaffenbaum, Shani Lauren and Patty Miller, Donald Rubin, Joseph Sion, and as well Irene Springer. If there's others who you're adding, feel free to do so, continue to do so. And if it's your custom to rise, feel free to do so. 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemed Abba, v'yamad divrach ute v'yamlich malchute, v'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, v'agalav izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemed Abba mevorach le'olam u'lamel maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudesha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Damiran v'yalma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom v'imromav. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel. And let us say one last time.
Amen.
Amen. Okay, a bunch of announcements, and we're going to try to do something a little bit different tonight with the announcements. I want to share with you in a second this awesome email that Stu Botwinick and Sherry and Joy they put together. It's, I don't know, I think it's more, we're thinking it's more fun. It's because it, I don't know, it's just a bunch of images and, okay, so first of all, tomorrow at, this always happens to me that something's on top of my screen in a way I don't like it to be. Can you all see that, I think? Yes?
Yes.
Awesome. Inclusion Havdalah tomorrow evening from at 5 p.m. with Jeanette Peretz Elsner. Be inspired to come for about resilience, or her podcast, Living at the Mercy of the Moment. She discusses traumas and triumphs. We're doing this. It's a collaborative effort with Community Synagogue in Port Washington and at the UJA. So it's Inclusion Havdalah tomorrow evening. In addition, on Sunday, a week from Sunday, February 21st at 10 a.m., join us in wonderful and important ADL program, Fighting Hate for Good. That as it it's meant to be timed to connect to Purim. Purim being certainly a holiday that where we know very well about the experience, the history, and of anti-Semitism. Our next Shema magazine, we'd love for you to make a contribution to it with a primary question that we're asking is, what have you learned during the pandemic? I wonder if I can make these where we can highlight them on the screen. Maybe not. Anyway, what have you learned? Please let us know what you previously took for granted and learned to appreciate. And after receiving the vaccine, what do you hope to do first? How might you live your life a little bit differently? Those are the several primary things. We're looking for you to update your contact information. We have, if you've been thinking about buying a cemetery plot, we can help you with Beth Moses Cemetery. Our next Modim moment, send us pictures illustrating your family's immigration story, and that's going to be on March 5th. I think we'll take it's enough to share for now. And am I leaving anything out? Cantor Adam, that's crucial.
Purim is coming.
Purim is coming, of course, yes, okay.
When Adar begins, joy increases, and Hamantashen start baking.
Exactly. Comedy night, March 13th. Jordana, thank you. There's so much going on, lots of wonderful things.
Be sure to come to comedy night. You will hear the official debut of my new song, Space Laser Operator.
Wow, all right.
For those in the know, you know.
It's going to rise to the top of the hits, the hit chart.
For all you space laser operators out there.
Okay, and now we turn for Kiddush and Motzi to Mark and Ina Paktar. Ina, it's your birthday this week, and Mark's, yours was just at the end of the month. So happy birthday to both of you.
Thank you.
I'm happy to hear your age, but whatever, you don't have to share it with me if you don't want. May you continue to feel young. May you're the birthday that coincides with Adar help you to bring a little bit more of joy and playfulness and open-heartedness, and know how blessed we are to get to share this moment and so many other moments when the world is sort of normal again. So, Kiddush, we're going to start with Cantor Adam, and then we'll turn to you guys. Is that right, Cantor?
Sure. Let's do it. Okay, We're on page 4 if you're following along at home. Vayhi erev voker yom hashishi, vayachulu hashamayim ve'yaretz v'chol tevam, vayachol Elohim beyom hashvi'i melachto asher hasa, vayishpot bayom hashvi'i mikol melachto asher asa, vayavarech Elohim et yom hashevi'i, vayekadesh oto. Hold up that cup. Kihivo Shabbat mikol melachto asher bara Elohim la'asod. Now it's your turn.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho v'ahava u'ratzon hinhilanu zicharon l'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom tehillah l'mikrai kodesh zecher letziyat Mitzrayim ki banu bacharta v'yotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim b'shabbat kodshecha v'ahava u'ratzon v'chaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Got to be careful. I'm going to recruit you guys to sing something.
Drink up, and then we drink up and then lift up. Thank you to the Margolofs for your challah. Raise up your challah for those who have challah. Ah, beautiful. Ina and Mark. Beautiful.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen. 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 Okay. Cantor, we close with something.
Let's close with Samadon Olam on page 321 in E. Shai, just follow along with me in E. Adon Olam asher malach beterem kol yetzir nivra lehet nasa bechefzo kol azai melech shemo nikra ve'acharei kiktot hakol levado imloch nora ve'bo haya ve'bo
Shabbat shalom all. Shabbat shalom. See you.